Hey guys, before this video starts, I would like to say, go follow the Twitch and join the Discord. They will both be in the description below. And enjoy. That's what I get big.
I've been working as a successful personal trainer for a while now. I run my programs at the LA Fitness just a few minutes from my house. My client base is actually pretty diverse, ranging from the average person just getting into fitness, to the elderly trying to stay active, and even people with obesity who are trying to turn their lives around. Even as an exceptionally fit female, it's very rare that my clients ever try to hit on me.
They knew better.
With the
They knew better than anime hit like that.
exception of one person. He was one of my clients who was working on his obesity. For the sake of the story, I'll refer to him as Chris instead of his real name. I'd been training him for a couple years. He started out as one of my worst cases, probably the most overweight individual I'd ever seen. But for as bad as his condition was when he started out, he made more progress than anyone else. He was incredibly motivated, but unfortunately for the wrong reasons. He never talked about his progress unless it had to do with looks. In reality, I don't think he cared much about his health at all. After a while, it became clear that the real source of his motivation wasn't about bettering himself, but about his obsession with me. He was extremely weird around me all the time, very starey and suggestive, always asking me to promise him that I would let him take me out on a date if he lost another 50 pounds, another 100 pounds, and so on. I always curbed that behavior, but the more weight he shed, the bolder he became. The problem, however, and anyone who knows anything about extreme weight loss knows this, was all the excess skin that started developing all over his body. I see it all the time, so it shouldn't have grossed me out as much as it did. But then again, I've never been so close to it before. On one of our sessions, Chris mentioned how he hit another milestone saying, "Hey Mindy, I'm officially under 350. Isn't that amazing?"
Yes!
I mean chicken. It's all ranch.
I'm so proud of you, Chris.
No, you should be proud of yourself. This is all thanks to you. He got in the habit of taking me by surprise with extended bear hugs where he'd squeeze the life out of me. It always felt like I was getting swallowed up by all of his excess skin. I'll never forget the feeling of having all that flesh of another person draped over me. Hey, Mindy, why don't we celebrate with dinner?
Chris, I've said it a million times. It would be unethical to date one of my clients.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, I want to reach the end of my journey so that I'm not your client anymore. Then we could date.
Sure.
But I'll have to get surgery to remove all this excess skin first. Once I get that, I'll be able to see what I'm doing in bed.
Right.
Chris was my only client that gave me that kind of unwanted attention, so I was able to tolerate it for a long time. As annoying as he was, I was genuinely proud of him, and I didn't want to break his heart and send him back into whatever depression got him to be so big in the first place. He then got on the treadmill and started with some light
No, he trying to fly. He trying to fly. He has wings. He has wings.
jogging as I instructed.
Oh my god. Now we got wings, so it's crazy.
With every stride forward, I could see his excess skin flopping around, like someone shaking out a blanket. Our goal was to get him under 300 pounds so we could get...
Hey. How's your skin going through a shirt like that? Nah.
the skin removal that would bring him down to 250 or less. Then at that point he would start taking care of his own routine. It was around the time he was getting very close to the 300 mark when my birthday started drawing near again. Chris liked to gift me things, and this year was no exception. I was spotting him doing some shoulder presses with dumbbells when he suggested that he buy me an expensive purse. I told him not to spend his money on stuff like that and get something special or meaningful. He seemed to take my suggestion well and carried on working out. On the day of my birthday, I had an appointment with Chris. When I first saw him, I noticed he was carrying a box covered in wrapping paper. But what really drew my attention was something else entirely. I couldn't pinpoint it right away, but there was definitely something different about him. He looked tired, but at the same time significantly slimmer than the last time I saw him. That's when he greeted me by saying happy birthday. I asked him if he ended up getting the surgery, to which he responded vaguely, mostly beating around the question and changing the subject back to my birthday. Chris then handed over the
It's
gift and
upstairs.
asked me to open
And
it. I took it and started tearing off the wrapping
what is
paper.
it?
I then lifted the lid off the box. And to this day,
How's the person?
I'll never get the image of what I saw out of my
yeah.
head. As soon as I saw it, I felt so weak that I dropped the whole thing, causing the contents to fall on the
What's the skin?
floor.
Wait.
It was a bag, all right, but it wasn't designer or any name
Ain't no
brand
way,
that
ain't no way, ain't
existed.
no way.
Chris had
Yeah.
made it himself, out of human skin, his own skin.
No, why would he do that? That's nasty. No, why would he do that? That's nasty as fuck,
That's when Chris held up his shirt, showing off the fresh scar on his stomach. Chris then said with a grin on his face, "I wanted to give you a piece of me."
No, no.
I ran away in
Alright,
terror.
yeah.
I got to my...
Why did they animate her like that? Why did they animate her like that?
car, threw up
They
in the
knew
parking
better.
lot, then canceled the rest of my appointments. After that, I drove home and got wasted to try and erase
Yeah.
the memory, but it was pointless. The traumatization was
Yeah.
already done. I texted Chris
Bro,
that I could no
they be
longer work.
sussy. They so
And then I
sussy
blocked
box.
his
I ain't gonna lie,
number.
we're too-
Since then, I haven't seen him at the LA Fitness. And even though that means he's probably sitting at home undoing all the work he did, I don't care. I'll be thankful to never see him again.
Show proof. I want to see what this man looks like in real life. No proof? Wait, wait. How you gonna show proof of the first one, but not the second one? Alright, but W follow, W follow. Thank you.
On the weekends, I used to go to this local gym with my boyfriend to work out. And while I tried taking gym
On the weekends, I go to this gym with my boyfriend to work out.
sessions in
I
the
can't
morning
go
and
around the man
afternoon,
voice
I didn't feel comfortable
with
being
the
around other
girl.
men constantly checking me out. There were too many creeps at that gym, which
Because I just streamed making a horror game for 13. Yeah,
forced me to work
damn.
out at night where there were
13
less
hours?
people staring. There were a lot of perks going during the night because
Wait, making a horror game. Let me know when
my
it's finished, I'll
boyfriend
play it.
and I didn't have to wait in line just to use a machine or any workout equipment for that matter. At night, there was no front desk helper, so we had to punch ourselves in with a key card to get inside. My boyfriend was always there to spot me during my
What about
workouts.
Discord? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Alright.
Or walk the treadmill next to mine. However, one night, as I was working on my last few sets of squats, a creepy older guy wearing a red polo t-shirt and blue jeans approached me. The guy didn't look like he belonged in the gym at all. If anything, he looked like he was the janitor of the gym. As I was midway through my set, the man asked if I needed a spot. I shook my head no, politely declining. But what creeped me out was how the man remained standing there. I could see his eyes scanning my body, making me feel uncomfortable. Then, moments later, he said,
Come on, babe. Don't brush me off like that. You're hurting my feelings.
and when my boyfriend noticed, he immediately intervened by stepping in between us and confronted the man. The creep didn't reply.
World
Instead,
star.
he smirked and walked
World
away,
star.
heading over to the lockers. My boyfriend put me at ease, reminding me I'd be safe as long as he was around. But unfortunately, it was only the beginning. The following night, I used the treadmill while my boyfriend was lifting weights on the other side of the gym. And since the treadmill section was near the windows, I could see whoever went in and out of the establishment. Moments later, I spotted a familiar face riding a bike to the front of the gym, parking it there. As he approached the building, I caught him staring at me, smiling as he headed toward the door. I tried to ignore him, hoping he wouldn't approach me. However, 8 minutes after entering the gym and changing into his gym clothes, he dashed to the treadmill area where there was no one else but him and me. At night, not a single staff member could be seen roaming this place. So, my muscles stiffened, tension crawling from my neck to my feet as I saw the man's reflection through the window. He was obviously checking me out since he could have chosen several other vacant treadmills. I politely asked the man if he had a problem with me. However, he just stood there, smiling at me like he didn't hear a word I said. Unable to concentrate, I got off the treadmill and headed over to my boyfriend, not wanting to give the creep a front row seat. Annoyed, I told my boyfriend what was happening, but before my boyfriend could confront him, the man suddenly left the gym, hopping on his bike, and rode off into the street. Needless to say, my boyfriend and I were disturbed, knowing that he literally came in just to harass me. The next day, my boyfriend called me to tell me he couldn't work out with me at the gym due to the overbearing amount of schoolwork he had. He sounded worried on the phone when he asked me if I was going to the gym without him. So, to put him at ease, I told him I would use the gym in the morning instead. About an hour later, I made my way to the gym and started warming up by doing some jumping jacks. It had not even been 5 minutes since I stepped foot in the gym yet, when I saw the creep from the corner of my eye once again. He then approached me, asking if I needed help with anything. So, again, I declined as calmly as I could. But as I did, he came closer, whispering lewd things into my ear like,
Give me your baby.
I felt violated. He constantly flirted as my body froze on the spot due to fear. Then, as I was about to leave, one of the most disturbing, gut-wrenching things happened. The man reached inside a brown bag, revealing a dangerous that made me go silent.
I knew it.
He pointed it at me while simultaneously covering it with the bag. I was stunned, frozen, traumatized.
Hell.
I didn't know what to say or do except obey this guy's every command. That's when he said,
What's wrong, honey? Cat got your tongue? You're now coming with me.
He grabbed my arm, squeezing it tightly as he yanked me towards the exit. Unlike before, my boyfriend wasn't around to defend me, and at that moment, I realized how helpless I was. As we slowly approached the exit, I made eye contact with one of the workers, mouthing the words,
Help me!
Then, just when I thought all hope was lost, the worker abruptly stepped forward and yelled,
Get your hands off of her!
The creep was perplexed, letting me go immediately as he exited the gym and left on his bike again. Then, as we watched him leave, the worker consoled me as he asked about what had happened. I told him everything. He quickly called the cops and reported the incident. The police were able to immediately identify the suspect and find him a few hours later by a bus shelter. The cops arrested him and charged him with kidnapping, possession of an illegal firearm, and resisting arrest. I have since avoided going to public gyms, even if my boyfriend was around due to the trauma. But despite the man being locked away, another shocking revelation dawned on me. After further investigation, it was found out that the man had been stalking me since I joined the gym, and allegedly had around a dozen candid photos of myself and multiple younger women on his cell phone. This story was inspired by a true story that happened in...
You was getting bullied by that thing? No, bro. I would hit him in his fat roll,
2017 at World Gym located in Lehigh Acres, Florida. A 45...
W follow?